Welcome back, welcome back. The last clip I was talking about texture, and I'm going to talk some more about texture. This is the wonderful world of acrylics. You can actually set a texture regime up as an underpainting, and to do that you use this natty little product. It's called modelling paste. It used to be called modelling compound. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous thick. See, magic trick? It's so thick and gluggy. Remember with our previous episode where we tried to show you, well, we did show you how rounded and how it relaxes and it doesn't hold its peak. Well, what happens is that this stuff has got those tiny little, it's a crystalline form, and you can build it up. I'm just showing off using this one. I'm not Ando, seriously. But you can use large knives, or you can get something a little bit smaller if it's easier to handle. The idea is you start to fill in, you're creating a base so that when you go over later with oil paints, you can use quite thin oil paint and you'll still get a very thick, funky, chunky look. And that's going to save you a lot of money. But if you just want it for acrylic purposes and you really want to play with it, then there's all sorts of things you can do, setting up interesting textures.
Can you mix that stuff in directly with acrylic paint? Like, can you make a mixture with it, or should you?
Certainly. I am about to show you what you can do.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jess. Here we have some ordinary acrylic paint. I shall just put some in this container like so. Now, what will happen is that when I add the pigment like that, beautiful, yummy, bluey, phthalo blue, very strong staining colour, you just mush that in as if it was normal paint. And you can now apply impasto, remember that fabulous word? And you can spread that out any which way you like. So it bulks up the paint. They've got products like this that operate on another level. Now I'm going to show you some of that now. But you can create all sorts of deep textures that away. And you can also play with these. Once you've got a flat surface, you can make this as flat as you like and then play funny buggers with it. So you can create these interesting textures as well. You can go as thick as you like with this. It's not going to break down. Another trick you can do is you set a lumpy surface up, and then when it starts to dry, you just glide over the top. Because it's acrylic paint, you only have a small window to get this right. So you have to work fairly quickly, and it's not a bad idea to actually plan ahead. So only do a small section at a time because it will start to dry. If you get something like that and look at that and think, no, that's not really what I wanted to do, it just comes straight off again and you can rework it. But you can only do that for a certain amount of time. Now this painting here, this side of the painting, this one here, that's already been surfaced. I know that eventually the artist who was going to finish this was going to finish it with oils. She was just starting to give herself a nice textural base that she could then play with different oils, and so she would have a very rich, thick, expensive looking project happening, and it didn't cost her that much. Now, acrylic resin, this stuff here, wonderful gear. It's so strong and adhesive that you can do lots and lots and lots of different things. You don't have to, this is a pre-mix, this is great. But you can make up your own exciting textures using this to hold it all together. You can add river sand, you can add sawdust, you can add cement. These I did in 1967. They were part of a project I was doing. And this is using, it's on canvas, but using that stuff. In those days, I think I used Acryl 34 or something. And mixed into that was cement. that is going to last a lifetime, or 2, or 3, or 4. And what I did here was simply put down slabs of strips, smeared over the top with the acrylic mix, whipped it off when it was almost dry, and so I got these wonderful textures. Because it's acrylic, it's bound together with acrylic. I'm using a cement colour base here, and I'm using tissue paper, I'm using cardboard, bit of sawdust there, and all that's just held together with acrylic. And as I say, 1967, it's over 50 years old. I'm going to play with this texture a little bit more in another video to come. That's where we go really crazy with surfaces, and I've got a few tricks up my sleeve to show you. This is another implement that you can use, a product that you get this at any hardware shop. It's called No More Gaps, or Gap Filler, or what have you. And you stick it in this thing and you just squeeze the trigger and you can create this one instant spaghetti things. Isn't that an amazing technique? I just love the way those squiggles build up like that. And you could do something similar at home with this. Or you could, look, the sky's the limit. You could be corny and turn it into mermaid's hair or something like that if you wanted to do something illustrative. This is just a celebration of the actual, of just the material itself and the medium itself. Remember, paintings don't have to be of things, they can be simply of themselves. The textures in here, if you look carefully, you can see that underneath that, holding all this together, is using this product. There's another product here that's similar, but doesn't, it's more for bulking up the paint, and you mix it with your paint. It's not something that you use as an underpainting because it's what we call a gel. Now you can get this, a similar product for oil paints too. It's called impasto gel, but this is for acrylics. And what that does is, again, you just mix it with a colour you like, and you see how the texture of this, it's thicker and gelatinous. That's why it's called a gel. It's gluggy. But you can see also it has a rounded surface. So it doesn't give the whipped cream look. All this one does is just simply extends the paint and makes it go further. And you can use it in a similar technique, but you'll find that you won't get exactly the same rich edges that you would with the other compound, which has got the silica added to it. It's more for really making the paint go further, and another way of just extending your paint further and makes life it's a little bit cheaper. And there's lots of things you can do to that. It's quite adhesive, so if you are working with collages, say low profile collages, like adding paper or tissue paper or stuff that doesn't have a lot of weight to it, you could use this gel as well. It would help meet the difference between the paint and the texture that you are adding. For the moment, that's where we'll leave this particular part of the extra texture. We're going to do more extra texture clips later. I need a whole lot more gear for that. And we'll get set up for that in the future, and that'll be lots of fun. I'll show you how to go really super radical with the texture. Thanks for watching.